Hi, today I'm going to talk about Module 3 and a Martian McLuhan quote. I think I said that right. The quote that I chose was, "All media work us over completely. They are so persuasive in their personal, political, economic, aesthetic, psychological, moral, and ethical consequences that they leave no part of us untouched, unaffected, and unaltered. The medium is the message." This was a very prevalent idea of Module 3 for sure, and it is a really good, it's something to really think about, and that's why I chose this quote. It just had a lot to it, which I really liked, and I can really break it down. So when I first heard this quote, it made me think of when technology was becoming more prevalent in like students' everyday lives, or for at least for me growing up. It seemed like there was kind of a disconnect when I was younger, for sure. I think it's better now, but when I was younger, I can remember people saying to me, for sure, you're always on that phone, and go outside and do something. It's messing with your brain. And also, which has become like more prevalent, they're watching you, like they can get whatever they want off your phone and know everything about you, which it's an interesting thought. So just thinking on it further though, a medium is more than just an electronic device that you get entertainment through, or your news. Teachers ourselves are mediums too, because we need to get our knowledge across to the kids. Which we can be involved as a medium too. And then also I was thinking the school itself is a medium, because as soon as you walk in those doors, you get a feeling of calmness and orderliness and productivity, like trying to be productive, like it's a productive environment. Like as soon as you walk in the doors, because that's what school is made for. It's made to make you feel all of those things. It's a medium, and it's not like a straightforward, like written on the walls, you need to be quiet, you need to be calm, we need orderliness, you need to be productive. It's not written on the walls, but it's something that comes across in a school. Again, the medium is the message. And then when I was thinking about that, it made me think from our other class discussions and lectures about the principles of scientific management by Frederick Taylor, and how we know that when schools were created, they were created to train people to work in factories and for factory life. They were made so that we could get students prepared to be focused, uncomplicated, and compliant with, whatever their factory head was telling them. Of course, now we have moved away from that, but the school still represents those key values of good citizens, because that's another thing of like a medium of the school, is trying to get good citizens from school that are smart, but also are responsible in their understanding of the world and understanding that what their actions do affect others. And then, just the formatting of the way that school is done works us over, and making sure, the formatting of the school has done a good job of working us over and making sure that we're not left untouched by the idea of a homogeneous society and how it should be run, like a school with order. School isn't only defined by these attributes, of course. It's also defined by the media that the teacher chooses to show, and the media we choose to show, the way we choose to see it. Maybe some teachers I've heard of involving TikTok more into their classrooms, especially with what's going on in Ukraine. We get firsthand accounts, such as like for social teachers like myself, that are sometimes more honest than the news. And that medium also has a message to it where it's supposed to be fun and like dances and whatnot, but then you see all of these different terrible things that are happening in Ukraine, and then it's conveying another message, and it's kind of becoming a news outlet of sorts. But yeah, the knowledge that is chosen to be taught and the student's ability to use and understand that medium for learning is also important. We hear this all the time with critical literacy, especially in the Defining 21st Century Literacy video. Like the school world is broadening, as well as kids need to make sense of all the information that's coming in all forms, just like TikTok, like I was talking about before. But going back to the Defining 21st Century Literacy video, the understanding that there's so much information streaming at us from audio and visual, as well as just words on a page mediums, also leads to understanding that critical media literacy will need to be an important lesson to students, as I already said. And then referencing another video, Critical Media Literacy, Integral to Students' Learning video. A focus on critical media literacy heightens students' awareness of and ability to critically analyze the relationships between media and audiences and information and power, which again can be linked to Ukraine. But sorry, I'm a social studies teacher, trying to involve it. Being aware of the language and messages that come through these mediums and what that medium is actually communicating to us and to the students is so important, and especially even more important with English language learners. And when I was thinking of English language learners, I remembered how I've been taking a how to make assessments for when I'm eventually a teacher. And the one rule that can be applied to everything when making an assessment that you shouldn't do is that you shouldn't be referencing popular media, because it puts like ELL students at a disadvantage, and some students may not be familiar with it, and then they may get up to that question on a test and then they get frazzled and can't think. That's why it's so important to think about the medium in which we use to teach students. And I just want to go back to the beginning of my discussion as well, in which older generations believe we are being controlled by our phones. Before, when I was younger and social media started to become a bigger thing in my life and my peers' lives and all my friends' lives, I would disregard those comments. Just, a young, stupid kid who's trying to be like the older students and do what they're doing. But now there's more research on it, there's more articles, and through my life, I've actively seen it affecting everyday life, through the way that I view people, such as if I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at someone and I see how many followers they have, I'm made to think to myself, oh, they're not as cool, or they're not someone who maybe is very popular, so why would I care? And also how I view myself is affected in that maybe I post pictures of vacations and just hanging out with friends and other stuff, and then maybe I post a selfie and it doesn't get as many likes, and then I start to think, oh my gosh, is something wrong with my face? Do people not like the way that I look? The medium really has left my life touched and affected and changed forever in the way that I view the world and others and myself, and there's no real way back for that. So it's very important to remember that when teaching in the classroom. It puts a new meaning to our lives that has never existed before, which which I just talked about, but my students will be managing through this every day outside the classroom too, and it will affect the way they come to class some days, especially if they've had a negative interaction online. His quote is just so powerful. The medium is the message. It speaks on so many levels, and yeah, I think he was a very smart man for sure, but I think that I've touched on the two parts, which is role of language awareness and meaning making in the secondary classroom. So thank you for listening.